Headphones on. Mic check. We gotta sip the matcha before we spill the matcha. Khaled, cheers to season 2.
Check, check, check.
He's here. Back. The voice in my head. Did you miss matcha? He's gonna have to get used to this again.
You know what? I think I did have a matcha.
I was gonna ask
in
you.
your absence.
No.
I'm trying to remember.
Where and with whom? Okay, not with whom. Not with whom. Where?
I've been cheating on you.
I know. I'm kind of like.
When was it? It was. I can't remember, but I did have a matcha in your absence.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't as good.
Okay. Yes. Excellent. Yeah. Well, cheers to season 2, Khaled. We are back. And I am super, super, super excited that we're back. And guess what? We're back on a full moon.
Oh, it's full moon. We're back to the full moon talk.
Of course. It is actually happening on a full moon. And I'm really happy about that because full moons, like I mentioned, are always a time for us to let go of what no longer serves us to make room for what does. So I'm all about that vibe right now. I'm actually...
Is Mercury in Gatorade again?
No, Mercury is direct. It's no longer in retrograde. Thank goodness for that. But there are like 5 other planets that are in retrograde right now. But it's okay. It's not affecting us that much. But you know what, Khaled? Ever since I came back, I was in LA and you were on holiday as well and in the Netherlands.
We haven't seen each other in like 3 months.
Exactly. So I feel like I have a lot to catch up on with you, but not on air.
No. That's going to come afterwards.
That's afterwards. But it's been crazy because a lot of things have been just falling out and falling into place. And I think that's the first thing I kind of want to talk about to start this season, because some people, I always put up that poll of like, what would you like me to talk about? What do you want to listen to? And some people were just like, about what happens when people just fall out of your life. And it's difficult, I think, to like get to a place where you can accept that. But you know what's getting harder and harder to find?
I can take one guess, but I'm going to let you take the words out of my mouth.
Fuck to give.
Okay. Maybe it wasn't that one, but...
Just to give a care.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's becoming dangerous, I think. And I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing.
I think the little catch up that we had.
Yes.
When you'd come back from
Los
LA
Angeles.
And I was about to leave. We saw each other once, I think it was.
Exactly.
But that one time, it was like...
It was just one of those moments.
Debrief.
Exactly. And it's just a debrief of just like people who I genuinely thought were like there for me. And friends that I thought were like, had my back. And it's just like, it's just been a recurring kind of theme. And I think this is just part of growing, but it's just, people have just been falling out left, right, and center. And I'm not getting mad at it anymore. And I kind of wanted to talk about that, because that L that some people feel like they're taking, like that loss, I think the L stands for level up. I'm not gonna like say that an L is a loss. An L is a level up, because you're obviously doing something that doesn't need these people in your life anymore. And it's not necessarily that these people are bad people. They just don't serve your life anymore. And I feel like people are just so worried about, oh, I don't want to lose this person. Oh, I don't want to lose this friend. I don't want to lose this relationship. I don't want people to change. But like, this is part of life. Change is inevitable, right? So I'm just kind of like, you're trying to stop something that is just a continuous part of life. And I think the more we begin to like accept that whoever is in your life right now is probably serving a purpose, and you're the main character of your own life. And I think that we are so focused on being a main character in someone else's life that we begin to be the second character in our own.
We forget ourselves.
And then all of a sudden we're just kind of like lost, because all we're focusing on is being the main character in that other person's life. But it's all about the main character energy. You are the main character. No one else is. And on the flip side of that, that other person is the main character of their own life as well. So you can't...
That's what we forget, right?
We do.
Especially as people that are very empathetic by nature. You tend to give yourself a lot to other people, but
Yes.
then you lose yourself.
Yes.
And then you actually start putting everyone else first, and
Mm-hmm.
then you don't put yourself first and be your own main character.
And I feel like it does have something to do with being okay with being the bad character in someone's story. You cannot be perfect. We are far from perfect. When it comes to humans, we're going to mess up. And if this person wants to write a narrative about you, when you genuinely believe that I've done nothing to this person to warrant such treatment, I'm okay with being a bad character in that person's story. Because at the end of the day, maybe I did play a role that maybe hurt them, upset them, but they didn't come to me and want to fix it. So that just shows me how much my relationship genuinely means to this person. Because if they did care, I feel like they would have come to me and be like, let's have a conversation. I don't want to lose you in my life. I think you're very important in my life. Let's fix it. Let's have a conversation. And it'll probably lead to an argument. But that's healthy.
It's healthy.
You have to argue. And we're always just so concerned about we can't hurt people. We don't want to hurt each other's feelings. But if you have a solid relationship with someone, that argument isn't going to hurt them. It's going to open up their eyes to a boundary that you probably have that they weren't aware of, or something that you did that bothered them that you're not aware of. But instead of just cutting that person out of your life, you've not given them the chance to kind of mend it. So at this point, I'm kind of like, okay, if I meant something to this person, they probably would have put in more of an effort into fixing it instead of just going around and making the other person sound like they're just this horrible person. If you can talk poorly about the person that you thought was your friend, I don't think that was a friendship to begin with, to be completely honest.
Of course.
And healing and growing has everything to do with that, right? You learn from your mistakes. Again, we're not perfect human beings. So yes, if I'm the bad person in your narrative, I need to learn. Right? I'd maybe not to give so much of myself, maybe to have more boundaries with myself, maybe to see other people's boundaries and respect them. Who knows?
It's all about perspective.
It
right?
really is.
Like you just said, and to just further your opinion on that, I feel like you're right when you say that you can become the bad person in somebody's story by not necessarily being a bad person.
100%.
But you can also make somebody a bad person in your story.
Of course.
And they're not actually a bad person, but you do that because that's your perspective on things.
And it justifies your feelings.
Yeah.
Right? I don't talk to this person because this person is terrible. Are they?
Yeah, that's your opinion.
Exactly.
Maybe from another or a neutral perspective, it's quite fair what happened, but you obviously feel like a victim, or you may feel like you're more affected by it more than they are, and then you feel like, okay, in my story, in my narrative, I'm going to paint this person out to be much worse than what they really are.
But let's just be honest. Opinions are a dime a dozen. And everyone has one, right? So if I'm just constantly being focused about other people's opinions of me,
you go crazy.
Yeah. And I'm no longer the main character in my life. I'm just like, oh my goodness, I need to be the main character in everyone else's life. I need to make sure that everyone likes me. If you're liked by everyone, I'm going to put this out there, you're doing something wrong.
Yep.
I don't think that someone who comes up to me and is like, everyone likes me. I'm like, wow. That's my first red flag in that person, because I'm just like, why? Why does everyone like you?
Yeah, it doesn't mean you should have enemies,
No.
but it means like a friend to everyone is a friend to none.
Exactly.
Right?
And I'm just kind of like, and then when someone tells me like, it's really hard for me to like find my wolf pack, or like, people that can really, your tribe. I'm kind of like, ooh, okay. Most people, honestly, the people who are kind of doing something that's like one of one are lone wolves. They don't ride in packs.
No.
They might ride in packs for a while because, let's say, like, for example, like I have people that I look up to. So I want to be in that pack, right? Once you're done kind of learning about this pack, now you need to go off on your own, because you can't keep doing what other people are doing. You have to figure out what works for you. In the beginning, it's always good to find your tribe. But then at one point, you're kind of like, okay, this is what the tribe is doing. I need to kind of find and create my own. And I think that's okay. Like, it's okay to be alone. It's okay to be doing things that no one understands. It's okay for you to be doing things that doesn't make sense to anyone else but yourself. And honestly, I've literally said no to so many people these days, and it's becoming easier to say no. And I'm kind of like, I'm in a good place right now.
You're okay with it.
I'm okay with it. Remember last season where I was like, this was the goal for Adele to start being okay with saying no. And sometimes I have these like relapses where I'm like, oh, should I go talk to this person? Maybe I should fix it. Maybe I should just, lend out an olive branch. And I'm just like, Adele, if it shoulda, it woulda. I think that's what it is at the end of the day.
And you're protecting yourself essentially as well.
Yes, there are days where I literally look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, oh my gosh, Adele, like you're, losing people left and right. And this has happened. I'm telling you, from the moment I came back from Los Angeles, I've just felt like people have been falling out. And surprisingly, this is the shocking part, is that I was okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm obviously on a different path, and that's okay. Maybe I'm growing. Great. Maybe I'm healing. Great. Maybe I need to just crash and burn for a little bit and then build myself back up. I don't know where I am right now in relation to that, but I do know that I feel okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's the most important thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Let me give you a good analogy.
Oh, I like these.
So this lovely bonsai plant that's beside you.
I love it.
Right? When I first got it, it was much smaller. And as we know, bonsais grow very, very slowly. But when I was reading about it and trying to figure out when I should water it and how I should manage it and whatnot, because I was quite new to like this whole plant thing, right? So I was putting water in it, and eventually some of the leaves started to get yellow and some of the leaves started to fall off. And I started to stress out, and I was like, man, I'm doing everything right. What is going on?
I like
that. And then I further looked into it, and I was like, oh, wait, hang on a minute. This is normal. Because one of my friends came over, and he has, good knowledge with plants. And he was telling me, he's like, bro, it's fine. The leaves are supposed to fall off. And then the new leaves. And then I was like, oh my God, I've been stressing out this whole time. And I was like, hey, hang on a minute. This is a good analogy for life. Because
very true.
Sometimes you got to let go of the old leaves. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's stunting your growth. It means that it's making more room and space for new leaves. So.
And it is actually the season of fall, which is very ironic right now, because that is the time where trees begin to turn beautiful colors, but then eventually all those leaves fall.
Exactly.
And then there's a winter. I think every person just wants to have a never-ending spring in their life, and they just always want to be growing and growing and growing, but we forget that we are part of nature. And nature has moments where the leaves turn yellow and they fall. And in the wintertime, the trees look dead. Plants are sleeping. And we need to sleep, and we need to we need to go back into hibernation sometimes, go inwards so that we can have that spring. But I think as a society, and I think this is like a big thing, we're always showing our highlights to everyone. We never show our winters. We hardly show those moments where we're just not doing anything exciting, especially with social media. Who's posting their L's?
It's true.
Not many people are, and it's usually the highs, and everyone's like, "Oh my goodness, this person's always thriving. This person's always doing this," and you're just like, "No,
it's not reality.
It's not reality." And obviously, social media is not for a place for everyone to be sharing everything all the time. That's not what I'm trying to say. But you got to have a perspective where it's like, all right, social media is showing me the highlight reel. I don't know what's happening in the background. Yeah. I don't know about anything else that's going on.
Don't buy into everything that you see.
Don't. And don't be so caught up in being in a never-ending spring. I don't think that's healthy.
No. You should allow yourself to be able to feel the lows because they're necessary.
They are.
For you to be able to be like, okay, let me recalibrate all of my thoughts. Let me plan. Let me see what I can do and how I can improve, because obviously something wasn't working that you were trying before, so you need to try something different. But
I agree, and I always call this my cocoon phase. So like sometimes I'm just unreachable. People are just like, "Hi Adele, like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that?" And I'm just no. I'm literally like no. And people are like, "Oh my goodness, are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm okay," and I tell them I'm in my cocoon phase. I don't want to come out. I want to be with myself, and people sometimes don't understand that because we're always craving.
Yeah, you fill your time up with all of these things to sort of hide away from the fact of spending time on your own is actually going to be more beneficial for you. But
Exactly.
people are afraid of that.
They are.
And it's not something to be afraid of.
But it's hard.
Definitely.
It's definitely
one of the hardest
hard.
things.
It is to sit with yourself, to be in that cocoon, to hibernate, to deal with everything that's happening inside of you. And that where the growth happens. That's where the healing happens. And let's be honest, when you come out, you're going to realize that some people are not there anymore. But that's okay. They were part of the old version of you. There's a new version that you need to figure out. And someone actually asked me, like, how does growing spiritually and healing actually affect your relationships? It does.
100%.
It does.
You're healing those parts of yourself.
Yes.
And before you can fully give yourself to somebody else, you need to be whole.
And it's not just that. You probably have, had a bond with someone off of trauma. A trauma bond, or someone is in that low phase with you. That's okay. That's okay to have these moments. Yeah. But guess what? When you're beginning to heal and grow, rarely are these people going to grow with you, and that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. And yes, it does affect relationships. There are people who, oh my goodness, I've been with this person for 2 years, but now we're completely different people. What's going on? And some people just stay because of the comfort. I get this person. I mean, do I want to start all over again? Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Like, do I want to have another relationship? Do I want to have another friendship? Do I really want to put in this effort anymore? But it's just, if you're a new version of yourself, don't you want to explore that? Yeah. Kind of see where you are. And then it's like the age thing as well. It's like, oh my goodness.
I'm getting older.
Oh, I'm getting older. Do I really want to do this? Like, maybe I should just stay in my comfort zone. Nothing good happens in the comfort zone.
No, not at all.
Ever. You're just complacent. You're just getting lazy. And I'm not talking about go out and like throw yourself out there, but at the same time, go see where you are at. Look at your new environment. You're a butterfly now. You're out of your cocoon. You're no longer some slimy old caterpillar getting fat. Like you're a butterfly. Yeah. Go see what butterflies do. They pollinate beautiful flowers. They like help the environment. They are actually crucial to this. Like
they don't live for very long.
They don't. And then we're back to that cycle again.
Exactly.
And that's okay. It's a cycle. It's the never-ending cycle of it's not going to be spring all the time, but it's definitely not going to be winter time either. It doesn't rain all year, and it's not sunny all year. Because if it rained all year, we'd be drowning, and if it was sunny all day, we'd be.
We don't have that problem here in Qatar.
Bad analogy in this country.
So I have a question for you, and it might put you on the spot a little bit.
That's fine.
So, hypothetically speaking, if you were in a relationship and you were with somebody, and then you both were at this sort of neutral point or a point of comfort, and then you found yourself exponentially growing because you've been doing spiritual work, you've been doing physical work, you've been doing emotional work, you've been really putting in the work holistically for yourself, and your partner hasn't. Yeah. Okay. And then you get to that point. Okay. Is that a point of, okay, do you communicate this first because there was a lot of investment that went into that? Or is there what does one do in that situation, in your opinion?
In my opinion.
Of course.
And it's totally just but it's just, if this person means something to you, you got to talk about it. Right. But at the same time, you should have been able to bring this person into your journey. I think that while you're spiritually growing and healing and you do send out invitations, right? It's like, come with me. Yeah. Let's do this together. Because obviously this person's a big part of your life. However, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink, correct? Yeah. So if this person just didn't put the work and time and effort into themselves, how am I supposed to trust that this person's going to put the time and effort into us? I'm sorry. This is something that I do look at with people. Like, do you take care of yourself? Are you in tune with yourself? Yeah. Are you trying to do something out of your comfort zone? Are you trying to grow? Not just spiritually. And it doesn't have to be physically either. It's just like, are you trying to do something out of your comfort zone?
Develop as a human being.
If not, then I don't know if there's a future in this. But do I communicate about it? Of course, because this person deserves a chance. It's not fair for me to have invested all this time into someone and then all of a sudden drop them like they never meant anything. Definitely not. But at the same time, you also need to know when to leave. Because if this is a recurring feeling in you where it's like, I'm growing and this person isn't coming along, and I've sent out the hand, I've actually tried to pick him up or her up, and it's just not happening, then what else is there for me to do? if I've done everything that I need to do,
They start holding you back, right?
yes. And then there's no forward movement. It's like you're carrying dead weight almost. Like you're dragging along this dead weight, and cut that dead weight, you're going to sprint. But I'm not trying to say that you just cut that person right away. There's investment in there. There's emotional investment in there. And I don't think it's fair for you to be like, all right, bye. No. But if this person's not serving you anymore, I don't think this is so hard to say. I don't think they need to be in your life anymore. But this is after you've put in the work.
I think it's important that you made the point of the investment in yourself doesn't always have to be something that's spiritual or physical or emotional, because you could find that opportunity blossoms for your partner.
Exactly.
And it's not necessarily blossoming for you.
Exactly.
But maybe that's your opportunity to be a good partner.
Exactly.
And support them and not allow it to affect your energy, and still have the faith that not become resentful and be like, okay, I'm glad that this is happening for you, and that's your time right now, and my time will come, but my role here is to be the supportive person.
Exactly. And that's a give and take.
Exactly.
This is in every relationship. There's going to be a moment where your partner is thriving, and there's going to be a moment where your partner is not. But you need to be able to take turns.
It's a balance, right?
And that's the thing. How hard is it for people to clap for others?
Yeah.
It's so hard. Why does that person have what I want? They're putting in the work to get it.
That's just their time.
It's their time.
Just their time.
And your time is going to come. You need to trust the process. There's a process that needs to happen. They didn't wake up one day and everything fell into their lap. There's been days where they didn't want to do the work. They put in the work. There's been sacrifices made. There's background stories that you don't know anything about. And you need to ask yourself the question, if you want to level up and if you want to grow, are you willing to pay that price? Are you willing to put in the sacrifice? Are you willing to put in the work? Because some people think it's just because it looks like it falls into that person's lap, but they don't know what's been happening underneath. They don't know what's been happening in the cocoon phase. They don't know what's been happening in the winter. Okay. So if you're with someone else and this person just seems like they're thriving, obviously sacrifices are being made. But like you said, the support needs to be there. And that is a difficult ask for some people.
100%.
I cannot say that this is easy.
Even as a partner in a relationship, but even as a friend.
As a friend.
You know, you might get resentful because you feel like, look, I'm doing all this work and this person just had all of this opportunity just fall into their lap. And then you become resentful towards that person. But it's just like accepting that that's their time.
It's their time.
And that's not meant for you right now. And
100%.
maybe it's not meant for you ever. But clap for them because, support them. And don't resent them. Because
you need to have a trust.
Yeah, resentment's a very, very sticky feeling.
It is. Jealousy it's a love and a hate. Like you love this person and you love everything that they're about, but you're just like, why? I hate that it's not me.
Yeah.
And I just it's one of those things where you need to check yourself from time to time, and the people who surround you, if they're getting it done, you're in the right group.
Yeah.
It's not your turn yet, but you're in the group that's getting it done.
You're in the right environment.
You are. So make that a signal for yourself that's like, okay, I'm in good soil. If you are with a bunch of people where nothing is happening for them, I would be like...
bunch of complainers.
No, literally, just... I'm sorry, I call these people lazy.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that's just like, nothing's happening. Oh, well, are you doing anything? There's this one saying that's if you're surrounded by 10 losers, you're probably the 11th one. Honestly,
I'll cut it down to 5.
I know. Who has 10 people in their life?
I know.
I can count them on one hand at this point. But it's just like, but that's the thing. Like, if you're surrounded by people who are just, they're being blessed, you're in the right environment.
You're a product of your environment.
You are. I'd be more concerned if nothing's happening to my friends and I'm kind of like, what am I doing here? Do we want to get something done, or are we just going to sit here and do nothing?
Yeah, we're just going to sit here. And what I often see is that people like to comment on other people's lives in those situations, and they also start to complain a lot. And I know that rule number 1 is if you do want to improve the quality of your life, stop complaining.
Stop complaining. And not just that, people who have that much time on their hands.
Yeah. Oh my God, this person is doing this and that.
And I'm just like, how do you know?
Like, what? How? Where are you getting this from?
Where are you getting this from? So it's just staying in your lane.
Yeah.
But you know what? Also being brave enough to switch up lanes sometimes. But make sure you put your blinkers on and make sure that, you know, you're not stepping on other people's places. Stay in your lane, honestly. But also be brave enough to get out of your lane sometimes. This is my thing. Is just, I know that it's really important to like, okay, stay in your lane,
put your head down.
Put your head down, blah, blah. But sometimes you got to look up. Like, am I even in the right lane?
Yeah. Am I going the right direction?
Sometimes you're in your lane, but you're going the opposite direction of where you're supposed to be going. And you're just following where everyone else is going. I mean, you're just like, but this isn't my lane. So yes, it's important to stay in your lane. Please look up from time to time. Look around. Am I going the right direction? Am I in the right lane? Put your blinkers on and move if it's not. It's very easy. It's very easy. But don't be stepping all over other people's lanes who are, you know, going 120 miles per hour because they're on their own track. You don't need to slam into them and derail them. And life does that sometimes. It will derail you. It will take you on a loophole. But trust the process. It is all part of the growth. It's all part of where you're supposed to be heading. And I really wanted to start this podcast with this kind of energy. Like, you know what? It is what it is. And as much, I will control as much as I can, but the rest, I trust that there's something taking care of me up there. I might not see it. I might not understand it at this point, but in retrospect, which is so important to reflect, to have that time to reflect, it would all make sense. This wasn't meant for me, or that was meant for me and I did it. Or I need to reroute my life and it's okay. I need to figure out where I'm supposed to go. So that's the energy I really want to bring into the beginning of the season. It's season 2. We're going to be growing, glowing for the rest of this season, I think.
On your shirt.
This is
You're
the merch.
almost camouflaged.
I am.
With the background and the seeds.
It goes with the aesthetic. This is the matcha aesthetic.
You could fit in with that curtain right now.
I like it. I'm all about the green coconut matcha energy. But yeah, so that's basically what I wanted to really tell people at home. Trust. Something's out there protecting you. Every like fork in the road is a decision that you're going to make. And whatever decision you make is going to take you on a path you would have never expected. But you got to take that first step. It takes that first step for you to really just start your journey and see where it ends up.
That's the truth.
That's facts. So
it's good to have you back, Adele.
It's so good to be back.
And be ready for season 2.
I can't wait.
The voice in your head is back as well.
Oh, yeah. All right. I'm going to leave you growing, glowing. Follow me on Life with Adele on Instagram. Make sure that you like and subscribe if you love this podcast. Spill the Matcha. I will see you guys for episode